If you wake up gasping, if you snore like a chainsaw, if your CPAP machine isn't helping, you might be choking on fat stored inside this thing, your tongue, and no one is telling you about it. So, most people don't realize this, but your tongue isn't just muscle. It can accumulate visceral fat, especially at the base, which is right near your airway. And in a 2020 study by the University of Pennsylvania, they published a report that showed that MRIs comparing people with and without obstructive sleep apnea. And what they found was those with obstructive sleep apnea had significantly more fat inside their tongues, particularly at the base. So this is like putting a weighted sandbag in your throat before bed. When your muscles relax during sleep, that extra mass, it collapses the airway. So this isn't just about being overweight. It's about where your body puts that fat and why. When you're insulin resistant, your body starts storing fat in all of the wrong places. And all the wrong places aren't the thing that you're talking about, the love handles and the butt and thighs or, on your belly. All the wrong places is things like your liver, causing non-alcoholic fatty liver, or your pancreas, which causes beta cell dysfunction and you stop producing insulin in the right manner. And yes, really, your tongue. Your tongue can store fat, like you see in this picture behind me here. And that fat is very, very dangerous and very, very risky. So that same 2020 study found a direct correlation between tongue fat volume and insulin resistance, even in patients with a normal BMI. So let's give you sort of an example of this. A lean patient with severe sleep apnea and prediabetes, the problem isn't visible, it's visceral. So the problem isn't that they're carrying a ton of excess weight, especially around the neck, that is sort of compressing the airway. The problem is their airway is being compressed from inside. So the base of the tongue gets gets enlarged, overloaded. It gets enlarged and it's blocking the airway from the inside out instead of from the outside in. So this is also why CPAP machines don't fix the root problem. And I'm an obstructive sleep apnea patient. I sleep with CPAP every night, and I'm here to tell you that CPAP machines are life-saving. They are, but they're not a cure. What they do is they pressurize the airway to keep it open, but they don't remove the fat that's blocking it. And they don't fix the inflammation or the metabolic dysfunction underneath. There was also a 2019 review in Sleep Medicine Reviews confirming that while CPAP improves symptoms, it doesn't reduce tongue fat or improve metabolic function. So if you're still tired on CPAP, this is why. You've treated the symptom, but not the signal. And here on the Obesity Project, we always try to get to the root cause. So let's talk about how reversing insulin resistance actually shrinks down the size of the tongue and restores sleep. So when patients start to eat differently, fewer carbs, lower insulin spikes, more nutrient-dense food, something really, really powerful begins to happen. Fat doesn't just leave the belly. It melts from places like your liver, the pancreas, and yes, your tongue. There was a 2022 trial in Obesity Science and Practice that showed that a low-carb ketogenic diet led to significantly reduced levels of tongue fat and improvements in sleep apnea severity after only 12 weeks, so just 3 months. So metabolic health changes anatomy, and when the airway clears, the body finally rests. And I'm here to tell you from firsthand personal experience, when sleep apnea goes untreated or poorly treated, you just feel like hell. You're exhausted all the time. You fall asleep at the drop of a hat. As soon as anything slows down, you sit in a chair, 5 seconds later, you're out. I used to fight the urge to fall asleep behind the wheel all the time. Luckily, I didn't. but people have died from this problem. So, uh, shrinking that tongue fat, shrinking that body fat, super really important and a necessary thing. So, this has been episode 77 of the Obesity Project. Is your fat tongue going to kill you in your sleep? So, if you've been struggling with snoring, with CPAP fatigue, with fragmented sleep and silent suffocation, don't just blame your nose or your genetics or your overall weight. Look at your metabolism because sometimes the reason you're tired is hiding right in plain sight in your mouth, the tongue. So don't forget, here on the Obesity Project, we're cutting through the myths, getting to the root. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Most people are not talking about the size of the tongue. Most people are not talking about how eating properly will reduce the amount of fat in your tongue and get you much, much healthier, both from an insulin resistance standpoint and from an obstructive sleep apnea standpoint. So thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, like, share, and comment, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.